coverage you can count on. KOMU 8 News starts now.
Wind, cold, and soon frost. Good evening, I'm Samantha Bowers.
And I'm Jim Rick. Thanks for joining us. It is springtime, but you just never know what's around the corner. Let's send it over to Jenna for a check of the forecast.
Thanks, Jim and Samantha. We are taking a look at our issued by National Weather Service frost advisory. This is going to be in effect until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. This is mostly affecting those who live along and north of I-70, and mainly what you're going to want to do for this is make sure that you take your plants inside if you can, or if they're planted in the ground, cover them with a sheet or something to keep them warm overnight. Our overnight low is going to be around 36 degrees. We will warm up a bit as we go throughout tomorrow to 57 degrees because we'll see lots of sunshine, but it's still going to be much cooler than what we've been experiencing for the last week or so. We do have more than a couple chances of seeing rain in the forecast, and there's a couple chances of flurries in there. I'll break that all down in my full forecast hour by hour.
A man is in custody after a short car chase, a crash, and then a foot pursuit. Isaac James joins us live from the intersection of Business Loop and West Boulevard, where part of the story unfolded.
Jim and Samantha, this part of Business Loop was back open, but it was shut down for about 45 minutes earlier. This series of events started when police officers on patrol spotted a man wanted in a domestic assault case. They flashed their lights, but say instead of pulling over, the man sped off. He didn't get far because he wrecked the car.
The driver fled the scene on foot and while being pursued by officers attempted to discard a firearm. The driver was apprehended in the Columbia Cemetery on the north side of I-70.
Captured the man in the cemetery and took him to the hospital since he'd been in a crash. A woman who had been in the car with him had minor injuries and also went to the hospital. Reporting live in Columbia, Isaac James, KOMU 8 News.
A fire has destroyed a home in Claysville this afternoon. You're taking a look at the video from the scene. The home's gardener was the first to notice the fire. He and the owner tried to put the fire out with a hose before calling firefighters. Nobody was injured.
A recent USDA report says small farms are on the decline nationwide, but a closer look shows Missouri farmers are bucking the trend. Big farm operations are becoming more and more common. Missouri's numbers tell a different story. The USDA says about 3,000 new small farms opened in Missouri from 2012 to 2017. Those are new farms with fewer than 50 acres of land. The Missouri Farm Bureau says this type of farm with smaller operations can be successful.
A lot of people are getting some goats or some sheep and vegetable farms, some things that are a little bit atypical that don't require as much acreage just because the cost of land is so expensive these days.
According to the USDA, the average farm in Missouri is about 300 acres. That's nearly 35% below the national average.
There's not enough nurses in this country, and MU is hoping to change that. It starts with a new building for the nursing school. KOMU 8's Caroline Dade is live from MU's campus with the impact it is expected to have.
An MU spokesperson told me the new building will let the nursing school admit up to 50% more students in each class. This is expected to lead to 100 more graduates every year. The new building will include more simulation spaces where students will have hands-on learning experiences. One current nursing student says the existing building's size means fewer people get into the program.
It makes it very competitive, so I think adding a better use of the space will also help grow the classes and make it a little bit easier for more nurses to learn how to be nurses.
Construction is supposed to start next spring, and the building is expected to be open for classes in the spring of 2022. Live from MU's campus, Caroline Dade, KOMU 8 News.
School districts run active shooter drills to prepare for the unthinkable. Now a new tool could keep teachers and students safer. KOMU 8's Leah Rocha is here in the studio to tell us which Mid-Missouri district plans to use this new tool.
Fulton Public Schools is trying something new to prepare for an active shooter situation. Every classroom in the district is getting a bleeding control kit. Callaway County EMS donated them so teachers can treat wounded students until EMTs get to the scene. One school official says teachers are ready to help.
But it's still kind of a new territory. But the other side of that coin is that teachers are there because they care about kids, so they're going to do what they have to do. And we're just giving them the tools to do that.
Callaway County EMS says it hopes to get the kits to every classroom in the county. Reporting in the studio, Leah Rocha, KOMU 8 News.
Tonight, Roots and Blues and BBQ announced its 2019 lineup for this September. Check it out. Maren Morris, John Prine, and Jason Isbell will all perform, along with dozens of other artists. The festival is at the end of September. This is the 19th year.
City officials say crews are making progress on runway repairs at the Columbia Regional Airport. Crews continued to lay asphalt around the runway intersection, also along the agenda, painting the new stripes at the same location. The city says the project is still on schedule. COU closed Tuesday to iron out the bump where the runways meet on the north side of the airport. Both pilots and passengers complained the bump was a safety factor.
Recent stats from MoDOT show 3,000 Missourians were injured in work zone crashes the past 5 years. State Senator Mike Bernskoetter and workers in Jefferson City met for National Work Zone Safety Week. 13 MoDOT employees have been killed by crashes since 2013. That hits home for an employee with the American Water Company. He says Missouri drivers need to be especially careful when workers are nearby.
Getting the job done is one thing, but safety is our main key aspect. And we need the public's help on that.
It was right in the thick of it.
Bernskoetter recently introduced the addition to the Move Over law, which requires Missouri drivers to switch lanes if possible near work sites. It would take away a driver's license if he or she hits a worker.
MU's ROTC class was treated to a special training exercise this morning. Cadets got air support from a Chinook helicopter. It flew in from Overland Park, Kansas to pick up the cadets. It's a rarity for the cadets to get this hands-on experience. Lieutenant Colonel Gary Kerr played a large part in organizing the flight. Battalion Commander Kimberly Woods says she was grateful for the opportunity.
Not every ROTC program gets to do this. Our colonel pulled a lot of strings so that we'd be able to see what it's like in an active duty environment with real equipment that we don't necessarily always get day to day for labs and during training during the school year.
The Mizzou cadets partnered with cadets from Truman and Lincoln University for the training.
Southwest Airlines is altering its summer flight schedule to account for the absence of 737 MAX 8s. The FAA grounded the planes in March after 2 overseas crashes in the span of 5 months. Southwest is extending the schedule changes through August. Boeing is looking at the plane's automatic safety system, which is thought to have led to both fatal crashes.
A legal expert says Amazon is violating everyone's privacy. Amazon employees record conversations from Alexas in living rooms across the globe. The company says it's keeping its software up to date. Communications law professor Sandy Davidson says it's breaking the law.
What Alexa enables is intrusion into your seclusion. And Amazon has not put people on sufficient notice of what Alexa is capable of doing.
The company offers instructions to disable Alexa's listening features, but some consumers and Davidson say the tech giant isn't doing enough to be transparent.
What's the source of an E. coli outbreak? The CDC says a preliminary investigation points to ground beef. No common supplier or distributor has been identified. More than 100 Americans have fallen ill. 17 had to be hospitalized. E. coli infections can cause severe stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea.
As officials at the border continue to deal with a growing number of migrant detentions, the Trump administration is considering new policies at the border. President Trump tweeted today his administration is, quote, giving strong considerations to a policy that would bus undocumented immigrants who have been detained to so-called sanctuary cities and release them. The president has long slammed sanctuary cities across the country that protect undocumented immigrants from deportation.
These are human beings, families, children. To use them as political pawns in a game of vindictiveness just takes this administration to a whole new low level.
Advisors have recently discussed the idea of having military build and run migrant tent camps at the border.
The Pentagon has not received a formal request for additional support at the southern border, but Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan says he expects the Defense Department will still provide it. The Pentagon says the military currently has about 3,000 active duty members and 2,000 National Guard members along the border. Speaking of which, there is a big backup of delivery trucks at the border with the reassignment of inspectors. Those inspectors are instead working with the surge of migrant families. Truck drivers have been waiting in line for days, many sleeping in their truck cabs. Business leaders say they're worried about the economy as they struggle to get products to American grocery stores and manufacturers. Meanwhile, Vice President Mike Pence toured flood-damaged homes and farms in the Midwest today. He met farmers along the Missouri River. At the Iowa-Nebraska border, Pence got a first-hand look at the widespread damage left behind. He says the federal government stands with the Midwest. An April snowstorm. It happened 3 times last year here in Columbia. Now it's happening somewhere close by.
One Illinois billboard is stirring the pot on the abortion debate. We'll show you why.
We are going to be pretty cold as we go through those overnight hours, but despite that, we should have a pretty mild Saturday. I will break down our next system that will move through as we go into Sunday next in my full forecast.
Coming up tomorrow on KOMU 8 News Today.
Saturday starts off with a lot of sunshine across the region, but cloud cover and rain chances are going to increase into the afternoon and evening.
North, millions of people across the Midwest remain under winter weather alert.
Schools and city offices closed today as road crews got busy. Omar Jimenez shows us what it looks like in Minneapolis.
When Mother Nature is the culprit, you just really have to be on your toes because you never know what's going to happen.
Crews across the Midwest are working to clear roads and restore power following a spring snowstorm that swept through the region with blizzard-like conditions.
Been kind of rough with the rolling blackout because the truck stop has been shut down, basically. You can't get in to get any food or anything.
Dashcam video from the Minnesota State Patrol shows a trooper struggling against high wind, trying to direct traffic around a jackknife semi-truck. Across the region, police are urging people to stay off the roads, but to use caution if they have to leave their homes. And residents seem to be taking that message to heart.
The roads, a lot of roads weren't plowed already, and they're very slippery, and you had to watch it, you know, even with a four-wheel drive.
Minnesota's governor has signed an emergency executive order declaring a peacetime state of emergency and deploying the Minnesota National Guard to assist stranded motorists across the state. Minneapolis public schools are closed Friday in response to the storm, as are the public schools and non-emergency city offices in Fargo, North Dakota.
Aren't you glad we do not have that snow here? While snow is still in the forecast, we'll get to that. It is not going to be like it is there. We're taking a look at our time lapse over Jefferson City of today. We only warmed up to 59 degrees, couldn't get up to 60. We did have a few wispy cirrus clouds throughout the day, but that didn't do anything to block for our sunshine. We did see lots of sunshine as we went through the day, and that will continue as we go into tomorrow. Right now, our temperatures are sitting in the upper 40s. Some of us still holding on to the 50s, but not for long because we are going to drop significantly as we go through the overnight hours. And by that, I mean drop really significantly, enough so that the National Weather Service is going to put us under a frost advisory. That's going to be in effect for the counties that are mainly along and north of I-70. This is going to be effective until 9 a.m. tomorrow. So if you have any plants outside that you can bring in, do that if you want them to stay alive, or you can cover them with a sheet or blanket, and that will help them stay warm as they go throughout the overnight hours and let this frost advisory pass. We are going to be staying cold through the weekend. 44 is our high on Sunday, but luckily we're going to make a huge rebound into the rest of the work week, and we'll see lots of sunshine as well. Now, we have 2 systems that are coming through this week. The first one will be on Sunday. That'll be what makes us so cold. But after that, we'll see another one on Wednesday, and that one has the possibility to bring along with some strong thunderstorms, maybe even severe. Make sure you're staying tuned to KOMU 8 News as we track that out as it starts to get closer. But for right now, we're mainly concerned with what's going to happen on Sunday, and your eyes are not deceiving you. Yes, those are snowflakes. We will be seeing a few flurries on Sunday, so let's track that out hour by hour. We're going to see that as we go through Saturday. We'll start to see some of the precipitation start to move in. It's going to come from the south up through Texas, Oklahoma, and then we're going to see that move in around 9 p.m. on Saturday. That main part of rain is going to happen overnight Sunday, and we'll probably get about 1/5 of an inch of rain, not too much, but from 8 to 11 a.m., we're going to be able to see some flurries. Nothing that's going to accumulate, but just some floating flurries through the air, because once they hit the ground is too warm, and they'll melt as we go through Sunday. So we will make a huge warm-up on Monday, though. That'll be great. For now, our low is 36 tonight. We will be quite cool. We'll stay mostly clear. That's going to allow us to drop to that temperature because we don't have any clouds to act as blankets for the atmosphere. We will be seeing some morning frost again, so make sure those plants are moved indoors if you can. Make sure you'll cover them if you can't move them inside. 57 is our high tomorrow, which is pretty seasonable. A little bit cold for this time of year. We'll see lots of sun in the morning, but we'll see those afternoon clouds start to move in ahead of our next system on Sunday, where we could potentially see some flurries in the morning hours. We will make a rebound into next week, though. On Monday and Tuesday, we'll be back into the 70s ahead of our next system that could have thunderstorms related with it. Now, this rain isn't going to be too much of a downer, especially for you guys who have any seasonal allergies. That's going to bring all the pollen back to the ground. It'll make it a lot easier to go outside. Stay with us at KOMU 8 News for the latest updates on those systems.
One billboard outside Missouri has people heated. We'll show you why.
But first, your lottery numbers. Good luck. Dozens of truckers took the major roadways in the Chicago area today for what they described as a slow roll protest. The veteran independent drivers say they wanted to raise awareness about safety out on the roads. The drivers said they have three major issues with the companies they haul for. They argued electronic monitoring has led to unsafe conditions, that a lack of driver training makes for dangerous situations, and that the loss of road stops has forced them to stop on ramps for rest.
An abortion billboard on the Illinois-Missouri border is garnering a great deal of attention. It's on I-55 in Illinois near St. Louis. The billboard says, quote, "Welcome to Illinois, where you can get a safe, legal abortion." It was paid for by Hope Clinic, an abortion provider in Granite City. This comes as lawmakers in Missouri debate legislation that, if signed into law, would ban abortions when a heartbeat is detected.
What's going on in Jefferson City has got to stop. These people are playing with people's health and their lives.
Those who are driving and see that billboard every day, the one thing that I do want them to know are that there are other options.
The clinic responsible for the billboard offers abortions up to 24 weeks. The billboard is scheduled to stay up until mid-June. A bill signed by Arkansas's governor in February could be headed to court. The bill to ban most abortions 18 weeks into a woman's pregnancy is one of the strictest in the country. The law goes into effect 90 days after the legislature officially adjourns this session, which is expected to happen later this month. Opponents say they're ready to challenge it in court.
Tigers on the diamond, Tigers on the prowl. A wild day in sports coming up.
New ice cream cookie sandwiches from Sonic. Delicious. KOMU 8 Sports.
Welcome in, everybody. We're going all the way from Canada to Georgia tonight. So let's begin up north, where the St. Louis Blues are looking to steal a second game in a row against the Winnipeg Jets. Blues taking the early lead. Oscar Sundqvist wrister. Blues are up 1-0 in the first period. Still in the first, Winnipeg answers right back. Blake Wheeler in the slot ties things up at 1. Winnipeg took a lead, but then Patrick Maroon comes back, takes it himself, feeds to the middle on the rebound, and it's a cluster. St. Louis ties it up. We're in the second intermission right now. That one is all tied up at 3. Mizzou baseball on the diamond tonight against LSU, and this one got real weird real quickly. LSU put up 3 in the top of the first, but in the bottom, LSU's pitcher Zach Hess pulled after 13 pitches because of an injury, and Mizzou capitalized. Peter Zimmerman to left, that brought in Chris Cornelius and Josh Holt Jr. They score. Mizzou now down just 1. Same inning, Thomas Broyles. That one squeaks through off a glove. 2 more runs come in to score, and Mizzou's got the first lead. They scored 6 in the first inning. However, in the third, LSU comes right back. Brant Broussard, he brings in a couple. That knotted the game at 6. Like I said, this one was weird. Then LSU not done in the third. Cade Beloso smokes one down the right field line, This one back and forth goes extra innings, but that just went final. LSU wins in 10 innings, 12-1. Mizzou softball on the road this weekend facing Ole Miss. In game 1 of the doubleheader, Mizzou gave up a walk-off 2-run home run with 2 strikes and 2 outs in the 8th, and then the Tigers dropped a tight one in game 2. They'll look to rebound on Sunday. The Royals, they're looking to stop their 10-game skid against the Indians. Adalberto Mondesi, shocker, extra bases. That brought in Whit Merrifield. KC up 1-0, and they're just getting started in the first. Alex Gordon, why don't you get in on the fun? Yard, 2-run shot to right. That makes it 3-0. After the Royals scored again, Chris Owings, he's joining the party. 6 runs in the first inning. That brought in a couple. The Royals almost, actually just win final. They did break their losing streak. They beat the Indians 8-1. Now let's do some golf. This is one of the best weekends of the year. The world's best descend upon golf heaven, and most of the world's best are still in contention going into the weekend, this weekend, at the Masters. Augusta National, all its beauty and pageantry this weekend. Zach Johnson, this ain't beauty. Whoops, on a practice swing. I have actually done that once before. That's not a penalty anymore, but he just gets to hear about that in the clubhouse. Luckily, he was able to laugh about it. How about Tiger? On the 9th, jars it from long distance, gets to 1 under, the baby fist pump, and he's just getting started. In the thick stuff on 14, throws this one through all the pines. Oh, that's vintage. Within 20 feet, he'd knock in the putt. That gets him to 5 under. And then the very next hole, 15, we're showing it. You know what happens. Bring on the rollers, Big Cat. From over 20 feet, the yell and the fist pump. He finished at 6 under. Brooks Koepka, this guy's great for the golfers or athletes movement. He knocks the birdie in at 18. He's among the leaders at 7 under. How about another leader? Adam Scott, he has won here at Augusta National on the par 5, 15th from the fairway. My goodness, the swagger and the strut. Here's why. Nice and tight. He'd make that for eagle. He finished at 7 under. 5 guys at 7 under, but the Big Cat, he's prowling right there, 1 back. It should be a fun weekend down in Augusta. Mizzou football wraps up its spring ball tomorrow with its annual spring game. This will be the 3rd scrimmage of the spring, but the public's first chance to get a look at Kelly Bryant in a Tigers uniform. As for those uniforms, they're throwing it back with a little nifty design, because I guess if you have to play well, you got to look good. That one is at 3 p.m. tomorrow at the stadium. Admission is free, and that is going to do it for sports. Everybody have a good rest of your night and a great weekend.
It will be a chilly night as we go throughout those overnight hours tonight. We do have a frost advisory in effect that was put in place by the National Weather Service. So if you have any outdoor plants, make sure you bring them inside so that they can stay alive for the rest of spring. We will warm up to 57 degrees tomorrow, seeing lots of sunshine ahead of our next system.
So a tough loss for Missouri baseball, a split for the Missouri softball team, but how about those Royals?
The Royals,
hey, they got to win. After losing 10 straight, they're back in the win column, so that's all you can ask for, right?
Let's hope we keep this up.
One of my former anchors, Beth Malicki, is the president of the Zach Johnson Foundation in Cedar Rapids. I bet Beth saw that.
I'll track rain hour by hour for you.